All right, everyone. Somewhat propagandistic link in the description, so you can reanalyze it as I'm going to do right now. But during the blackout in Venezuela, there was a lot of looting, and people apparently. You look at this one, it's like, oh, mob's orgy of violence, nothing left behind. It's like they stripped the carpets out of stores, and they took tabletops and windows and all of these other things. Like normally. When there's a mob, when it loots a store, they smash out the windows, they go in and grab some shit, and then they leave. They're grabbing merchandise, like shirts or watches or something. In this case, it was totally different, and in Venezuela, in Maracaibo, which is their second largest city, and I'm probably butchering that, mispronouncing it. What happened is they went into the stores and they took everything, literally. There's nothing left in the stores. They've been pretty much completely destroyed. Some of them were torched thereafter. Now they're analyzing and saying, well, look at these greedy mobs of violent miscreants selling. No, it's more like there was no merchandise to loot. It's more like because the economy of Venezuela is so overwhelmingly bad, a patch of carpet or a window that's still capable of being fitted on the side of the home is actually worth an incredible amount. Like you could carry off a literal wheelbarrow full of Bolivaran currency, and it would be worth like the equivalent of $20 US dollar. But if you grab a window, they said that they tried to remove the windows in one place, and when they couldn't, they just destroyed them. If you get that granite tabletop or something, or the fiction piece of art, a painting or something that could have a greater numismatic value actually than the equivalent weight in like gold at this point. That's how bad the Venezuelan economy really is. So the way I look at it is, food has apparently run out. There's no food to loot. There's no jewelry to loot. There's no clothing to loot. There's for the average Venezuelan, not the ones that Maduro preens and preps and gives new shirts and like an extra bowl of rice to in order to come to his obviously staged bullshit rallies that are nowhere big as the opposition rallies have been, or the mobs and protests and riots for that matter. It's not like that. For 90% of Venezuelans, that's not the reality that they face. Theirs is a tale of true socialism where, yeah, the 90%, here it's like, okay, there are people in poverty. Maybe they don't know where their next meal is coming from, but they'll probably have a next meal. There it's they don't know where their next meal is coming from, and so they have to go out into the alley and hope that it's wandering around in a pile of trash and they can, punch it in the face and roast it, like a rat or a cat or something. People have eaten their pets down there, and that's not an exaggeration. That level of poverty in a country with as much oil as Venezuela, without U.S. sanctions having caused it, by the way, that is a lie, is abominable, to tell the truth. If only they had managed their economy better when times were good, this wouldn't be a problem. This is the equivalent of a person who fritters away all their money, never has any savings. They're like, they buy everything on credit. They're like, hey, I've got this job, I nailed a job, I'm making 6 figures. So, I'm going to have that salary or even more year over year forever, so I can max out this credit card and get all the stuff I want now, and I'll be able to pay it off over time. It won't be a problem. But then they lose the job. That's essentially what happened to Venezuela. That's essentially the tale of what happened. The centrally planned economy, the shortcoming of it is that if the central planning is not very good and doesn't look forward to that future and instead does what they do, it eventually collapses. What happened is that in order to have higher approval, in order to jumpstart the base economy, the consumer economy, Maduro and before him, generally Chavez, decided to take out a bunch of money on loan to begin rapidly expanding people's personal lives, to give them the toasters and the commie blocks and stuff like that, to give them a base existence. They did that on credit. The idea was that oil sales were going to be able to pay that off, that it wasn't really debt or anything, it was just speculation on future oil sales. He figured, well, the economy is going to keep growing at this rate, massively at the time, by the way, until a few years ago. We'll have more and more money. It's not going to be a lot of money in the long run because we will have jump-started the economy. If we're making 2-3 times as much because we've invested in people's personal lives, we've eliminated, some of the childhood diseases, we've given better education, healthcare and stuff, we'll have a better population, they'll be smarter, they'll be healthier, we'll be the masters of Latin America, we'll be first world and shit. The problem is that nobody saw the oil price collapse coming. And so what happened is that the economy, as far as the oil went, which is what this was based on and what it was written off on for those that were loaning them money, they were like, hey, we're basically getting paid in oil. Yeah, we'll loan you $1 billion. It's not going to be a problem. You're the fucking major oil producer of the Americas. You're going to remain that way, and oil is expensive. So yeah, we have confidence in your economy. What happened now is it's even worse, though. Maduro took a situation that was already dire, which is the oil price collapse, and made it 10 times worse by beginning a wave of nationalization. He's doing the opposite of what a sane person would do. A sane person would say, central planning doesn't work. It is already collapsing our economy. Fend for yourselves in a free market situation and get foreign investment in. We're going to become laissez-faire now. But Maduro didn't do that. His big sin was that. Chavez is the one that set up Venezuela for failure. People still have like statues and fucking t-shirts of Hugo Chavez. Oh, what a great guy. Maduro is the problem because he's just a bus driver. No, no, no. Maduro is not the one that centrally planned your economy into non-existence. Venezuela habitually blocking sites like YouTube and Twitter now. Although, I don't know, with all the censorship on those platforms, I don't know why you'd even bother. Dak Dorsey probably agrees with Hugo Chavez on a lot of things. So, the fusion of corporations with the state through direct absorption and bureaucracy. Yeah, the people in Silicon Valley love that idea. It's already basically happened, and that's the big problem. So yeah, Venezuela's fucked. Their poverty is so drastic, people don't have any food to loot. They're taking carpets and windows and shit like that. That's when you know that things are getting near the end stage of collapse. There is no functional Venezuela left. That's about all. Peace out.